This bald head, just because I received a small cup of yogurt from the male lead in front of the TV. The result is following the network cable. I found Simon Knight in the virtual space. When I saw Gerald, Simon Yi looked excited. I just happen to be missing a sparring partner right now. However, at this time, by Xiaoyong and the staff outside the venue, all full of question marks. Nice server. Why was it invaded by the supernatural beings of the Empire? But this is actually the president of the Transcendent Society. Linzen is so instructive. By Xiaoyong's father, Bai Jihu, was also an accomplice. They want to take this opportunity, arouse Xiamen Industries' interest in warfare. In virtual space at this moment, Simon Yi is already in a tentative attack. Find out Jared's strength. But in order to understand more precisely, Simon Yi launched the analytical eye. He found that Gerald had nothing but speed. All other properties are above 80. Even muscle and endurance have reached the upper limit of 100. This is literally made for tanks. Simon Yi couldn't help but sigh. If only I had met this guy 17 years ago. Maybe take him to the last dungeon. Remembering the superpower I acquired in the hospital, Simon Yi Ben wanted to find a monster to try. Now that I have met the bald head, then try it with it. Think of this. Simon Yi grabbed his weapon and rushed up. Gerald looked disdainful of this move. I can see clearly with my bladder. Saying that, he hacked down with an axe. But the next second he was stunned. Why doesn't the other party avoid it? That's not scientific. At this time, Simon Yi was looking at him evilly. Give you a long sight. Let you know what Zhu is. As the axe falls, Simon Yi's entire body was smashed into the ground. Bai Xiaoyan and others outside the venue exclaimed in surprise. They don't understand. As Simon Yi started working again, Gerald was also confused for a moment just now. Why doesn't he? It was like he wanted me to cut him. And just then, accompanied by the lazy voice of Simon Knight, a bolt of lightning suddenly exploded. Gerald looked shocked. Don't wait for him to figure it out. Simon Yi's figure emerged from the smoke. That's right. This is when Simon Knight returns to Earth. Acquired new skills. Immortality is not only immune to physical damage, it can also heal wounds quickly. Looking at Gerald with a confused face. How about Simon Yi grinning? Isn't it beautiful? Follow the network cable to kill the door. It turns out that the other party is a pervert immune to physical damage. By this time, Jared's mentality had collapsed. How can he play this? However, after testing his skills, Simon Knight have the staff disable his skills. I finally found the duel. He didn't want to scare them away. After the staff turned off the disabled undead skill, Simon Knight looked at Gerald again. I'm afraid you won't be convinced to lose. We'll make excuses that it is because of this superpower. Play with me now. Gerald threw the weapon on the ground to Simon Knight. You are as arrogant as the rumors say. False. Of course it's false. I'm stronger than the rumors. But then again, you can't even beat that big three. Dare to challenge me. Are you a little ignorant? Gerald was angry on the spot when he heard it here. He quickly charged towards Simon Yi. Simon Yi is unhurried. Stopped Jared's attack. Then a flash disappeared in place. Just when Gerald was still wondering where the other party was going, Simon Yi's joking voice sounded from behind him. One move back to the carbine, an attack in front of you. Gerald's crisis masterpiece. Fast retreat to distance itself from it. However, Simon Yi seems to have had enough fun at this time. He concentrated his strength on the spear, suddenly thrown at Gerald. The spear tore through the air. It makes a sonic boom. Gerald raises his shield to block, but still got knocked out. Looking at Gerald on his knees, Simon Yi gave a confident smile. It's all over. I have won. When I heard Jared here, I immediately denied it. It means that the opponent's spear was crooked just now. Simon Yi looked disdainful. I did it on purpose just now. Already merciful. Don't push here. Anyway, you can't beat me with such a big shield. In Gerald's puzzled eyes, Simon Knight began to guide on the spot. Don't rely on physical differences. You just need to replace the shield with a smaller one. Expand your horizons. With your level of agility and control, it's more advantageous. Gerald looked at Simon Yi with suspicion. You didn't lie to me, did you? Just kidding. Even if I give it all to you, you're no match for me, you idiot. Listen to the conversation between the two people on the field. Bai Ji, who is so anxious that it gnashes its teeth and lobules. This kid really knows how to live. Gerald was already difficult enough to give birth. Isn't this causing trouble for yourself? At this moment, after educating Gerald, Simon Knight is also ready to leave. Before leaving, he told Gerald to pay his tuition when he went home. Jared says no problem, but Simon Knight must gather in 2 weeks. Fight yourself. Simon Yi was a little angry. I told him I wouldn't participate in the game. Really want this. I don't want your tuition. Is it okay? Gerald hugs Simon Knight. As long as you fight, I'll give you as much as you want. Even I will give it to you. At this moment, when a group of people outside the venue saw the image on the screen, all black lines, suddenly, Lin Zhengtai's head blinked slightly. I came up with a bad idea that went against my ancestors. Hey, it seems time. Take advantage of him. The man saw his niece. I couldn't help but activate clairvoyant eyes. It turns out that Simon Knight, after educating Gerald, Lin Zhengtai will share the video of the conversation between the two. Hand it over to the media. Send a message at the same time. If in the game in 2 weeks, if the Empire can win the game by the finished score, Simon Knight Club personally participated in the friendly match between the two countries. Simon Knight who is chasing dramas at home. After seeing this news, angry on the spot, if it weren't for Lin Jintai and him wearing a pair of pants since childhood, for the sake of growing up, he insisted on demolishing the Transcendent Association. Lin Jintai's expression of grievance: "There is nothing I can do about my big brother. As the president of the War Society, he's under a lot of pressure." However, he advised Xiaominyu not to worry. After all, there are 3 games. As long as the other party is not in full stock points, win the game, Xiaominyu doesn't have to participate in the next friendly match. Although Xiaominyu was a little reluctant, but looking at the previous love, still endured. But she told him it was the last time. As long as one of the Empire players is knocked down, even if she is crying and begging herself, she won't be competing either. Lin Zhengtai swears that there is no problem. But how would Xiaominyu know? America's extraordinaires now never disappoints when it comes to disappointments. This game is a must-lose outcome. After returning home, Xiaominyu then thought about continuing to watch dramas, but by this time, her news was on TV all the time, and it really annoyed her. Just as she was about to go out and get some air, the voice of Bai Xiaoyan's training came over. Bai Xiaoyan at this time, training agility under the guidance of my father, White Tiger told him. As a secondary attacker, want better support teammates. It's about mobility. Xiaominyu behind him was hearing this. I feel like the other party is doing useless moves again. So he opened his analysis side to check Xie Yan's attributes. He found that Xie Yan's agility had reached its limit, and the growth limit of the other party is far less than that of the former White Tiger, but the limits of endurance and muscle growth, but far more than his father. The training method of the White Tiger, it may work for you, but putting it on my daughter is simply wrong. As for making my daughter a secondary attacker, that's even worse. Looking at Xie Yan, who is resting, Xiaominyu thought to himself, at this level, it's still a trump card. This competition, he might not even be able to kill an Empire player. Think of this. Xiaominyu directly asked Xie Yan not to continue to train for agility and speed, but Bai Jihu says it's not enough. He felt that Xie Yan could still improve. Xiaominyu pointed at Bai Jihu and said, "Your daughter is just like you. It's speed. Even superpowers are the same. So, you want to train him to be a sub-attacker like you, but you are different." Saying that, he turned to look at Xie Yan. "You used to use a whip to entangle your opponent, hand it over to teammates to attack. That's just wrong. You can obviously solve it yourself. Why should I give it to you? I can't help you." In the hands of the opponent's companion. So, the most important things you need to train now are muscles and swordsmanship. Saying, he picked up the weapon on the ground to show him that whip locks the sandbag. Xiaominyu suddenly slashed a sword. In the blink of an eye, the sandbag is split in 2. At this time, Xie Yan and his father were stunned. Xiaominyu said in a low voice that from today onwards, Xie Yan's position changed from secondary attacker to melee attacker. These 14 days, I want to personally train Bai Xiaoyan.